Hello, long time no see. Today I'm going to show you how I made this almost 3-foot sign using Dollar Tree and Walmart products. So to start, you're going to have 3 of these pumpkin signs, and you're going to remove the jute string holder, the little sign holder, and you're also going to remove the leaf and bow from the top. You're going to want to be careful because that leaf pops off. It flew across the room when I did it, and you just might want to be a little bit careful with that. Next, you're going to want to remove that glue piece. It is on there pretty nicely, so I did try using a razor blade, which I was pretty unsuccessful, so I grabbed this spatula and had a little bit more luck, and then I kind of just peeled it off. And I peeled off what I could, and then I actually took some sandpaper and I was able to sand the rest of it off while I was sanding the entire front. So it worked out nicely. I also used the spatula to take off the glitter that was on the lettering, which worked out really, really nicely actually. I definitely recommend that. Then I took some sandpaper and I sanded the entire front down. Next, I used my trusty old chalk paint in color white, and I just painted all of the pumpkins. I picked up some of this lightweight spackling from the Dollar Tree, and I filled in the holes that the hangers were on because I will not be needing those. It was actually pretty simple. Just used my finger and then wiped off the excess. Next, I'm going in with a second round of white chalk paint to cover the surface. Here I am going to make some details with some mineral chalk paint by Waverly. I picked this up for less than $2 at Walmart. So I'm going to go ahead and dry brush the mineral paint to make all the details of the pumpkin. I will suggest that it is a little bit nerve-wracking when you're first starting out because you're not really sure if it's going to turn out right, but I just say just go for it. Just make some really nice sweeping, bold strokes, and if it doesn't turn out right, then you can always take a baby wipe and wipe it off or repaint it. But it's always better to just go for it because if you're doing little tiny strokes, it's going to look broken and it's going to look like you really tried to paint it. So I would just go with some really nice long strokes. Just try to be brave. Next, I am taking some Waverly paint in color moss for the stem of the pumpkin. I'm going to go ahead and just paint the stem of the pumpkin. You can't really tell what I'm doing, but I'm just literally painting the stem of the pumpkin. And then later on, I'm going to take a more detailed, fine-tipped brush, and I will make kind of the details of the bottom of the stem, just so it looks more pumpkin-like. I tried doing it with the sponge brush like I like to use, but I ended up finding it a lot faster and easier using a detailed brush. And honestly, the brush was just a silly little one that I had lying around the house. I'm pretty sure it was just like a $1 pack that I picked up somewhere, and nothing special. But you see it definitely adds a nice touch to have a little bit of detail. So here I'm showing you, I made some of these on my computer. I actually made it on a Cricut, on the Cricut Design Space. However, you can always use just Word document and just pick some fonts and get a picture of an arrow, a clip art, free clip art or something, and you can design it there. You don't need anything special. So I literally just took I designed these 3 designs, and then I printed them out on my computer. I turned them around. What I did here is I am on a glass table here, so it was a little bit more convenient for me, but you can always use a piece of glass or your window or a lampshade. You just flip it around and you can trace out the letters with a pencil. See here, and then we'll use that to transfer these onto the pumpkins. So here I just taped it in place so that the picture and image would not move around. And then I took my pencil and I just went over all the areas that I traced on the back so that it transfers onto the pumpkin. So you do not have to do it like this, but I used a ruler and a Sharpie, a fine tip Sharpie, because I am a perfectionist and I do need my lines to be very straight. So all the straight edges I did go over with my ruler just because that's just my preference. Then I took a paint marker and I filled in all of the lines so it looked neat. So to make it look a little more tidy, I did use the marker to kind of fill in the corners first of the letters, and then I filled in between. I just did that so that it would, like I said, look a little neater and a little more professionally done. I do have a Cricut, so I can just use a vinyl and do it this way, but I wanted to show you guys that you can do it without a Cricut. You just takes a little more time, but it looks actually really cool. It can look just as nice. So to assemble, I'm taking some E6000. I'm actually going to mark the areas so that I can line it up properly. And I'm using actually a combination of E6000 and hot glue, just because E6000 takes a long time to set, but it is stronger. But I wanted the hot glue so that I could just kind of go on with it. Also, just a tip, for me to make sure that my pumpkins come out straight and my pumpkin sign is straight, I actually use the edge of my table to line the pumpkins up. So, because the last thing you want is to go through all of this work and then assemble your pumpkin, sign and then stand it up and have it be lopsided. So I did use the straight edge of the side of the table to make sure that that doesn't happen. Okay, so we flipped it around. We have these giant craft sticks that I picked up from Walmart. I'm going to assemble them on the back of the sign so that it gives it a little more stability when it's standing up. And I'm just going to glue them in place. I'm literally going to do the same thing. I'm going to use a little bit of E6000, and I'm also going to use hot glue to secure them in place. So for the last part of this project, you'll need 2 of these thankful signs from Dollar Tree. And I chose the ones with the beautiful buffalo check on the side because I thought it looked super cute. And you're just going to paint over that thankful sign wording, which was actually pretty hard because this is a really cute sign. I kind of wish that I had picked up some that I could have just used for decorations. I will say that this sign was a little bit difficult to get rid of the wording, though, like I've said before, I am very impatient. I did not really wait for the coats to dry, the layers in between to dry, so it was really difficult. It probably took, I want to say it took about 3 or 4 tries, layers of paint to get over it. Probably wouldn't have taken that much had I have just been patient and let it dry, or had I had used a blow dryer or something to dry it between layers. Live and learn. And next, you're just going to take some E6000 again and some hot glue, and you're just going to glue it into place as the base. Next, I'm flipping it over, and I'm going to use there's like a teeny tiny little gap in between the base and the pumpkin. So what I'm doing is I'm kind of building up like a little wall of glue, of hot glue, so that I can kind of fill in that gap. So it kind of seemed like it was going to bother me that it was such an open gap, and I really wasn't sure if there would be enough room for the other side to stick as well. So what I just, like I said, I built a wall with glue and then I stuck them together. Worked out pretty well. Here I am actually taking my hot glue gun and I'm filling in the space in between because there was still some space in between, and I wanted to make sure that the two pieces weren't going to come apart. So I just took my glue gun, the tip of my glue gun, and I stuck it in the hole, and I just filled it with glue. For the final touches, I took those little leaves that I originally took off, I set them in place, and then I took some jute string and made a few jute string bows to go along with it. So here's the jute string, and all I did was wrap it around my fingers, and I made just a really teeny tiny bow by just wrapping the jute string around 3 fingers and then tying it in a knot. Worked out really beautifully. The bows turned out cute. I'll show you in a minute, and that's it. Glued them in place and we're done. I honestly can't tell you how thrilled I am at how well this piece turned out. I actually impressed myself with it. I had family members over this weekend, and I actually had 2 people tell me that I either stole it from like a pumpkin patch, or they were not convinced that I made it myself. If you decide to take on this project, I strongly encourage it. It turns out wonderfully. It's so fun to make, and you feel super accomplished when you're done with it. I hope you like it. If you do, please give this a thumbs up and subscribe. Thank you for watching.